Good morning. Interesting readings, huh? Kind of makes you think about something. We live in a very image-conscious society. Status, respect, saving face are very important to many people. So unfortunately, for some, how we are seen is sometimes more important than who we really are. The gospel reading for this Sunday condemns the scribes who swallow up widows' houses to support themselves in comfort, and dress richly and pray in public so that they will be noticed and honored. It was more important to them to be seen and thought of as good and holy than it was to actually be good and holy. Scribes, as interpreters of the law, were deeply respected for their great learning. They wore long white robes as a sign of their devotion to the law. The problem was, this group began to feel that such respect was a right that they had earned, and they became arrogant and pompous. I would guess that all of us can think of people in prominent positions who behave in a similar manner. Power and position all too frequently are linked with material greed and corruption. When we're concerned about image and face, when we're worried about what people are thinking of us, we can't let ourselves relate to other people freely and to concentrate on how we can help them. We're too busy looking at ourselves. Remember that old song, "You're So Vain"? Eye in the mirror, one eye in the mirror. Remember that one? That's what he's talking about. It's the Pharisee within each one of us that Jesus is sending this message to. The second part of the gospel shows a very different picture. In a way, it's a completely different scenario. But there is a connection. The connection is that linking word, widow. The poorest people in Jesus' society are often represented by orphans and widows. In a world with no social welfare, these people had nothing. The widows, in a society where husbands could often die young of disease or injury, they were left alone at a quite young age. And in a world of arranged marriages, they'd never be chosen again as a bride. With her husband dead, and if she was of no interest to his family or to her family, if she didn't have children, she was destined for poverty. Striking contrast between that poor widow described in this second part of today's gospel and those scribes in the first part. The simple piety of that woman who had no social standing is compared with that arrogance and social ambitions of these religious leaders. And again, she's contrasted with the very rich donors who offered from their surplus and didn't even feel a pinch. Didn't hurt them one bit, didn't even think about it, didn't even cost them a meal. But she gave, and then she had nothing left. Again, the gospel is pointing a finger at us today, at our world today, and reminding us that this didn't just happen a long time ago. It still happens today. This poor woman, though, she put her trust completely in God. She put into the treasury everything she had, and it wasn't much. She could have kept one of those coins for herself, but she didn't. She gave away everything she had. And that leads us back to that first reading from the book of Kings. You have a similar story. Features a poor widow who has a son, but he's very young. She's been reduced to absolute poverty, and in no way does she think they will survive. She's going out to grab a few sticks to cook her last piece of bread. And then, as she says, "We will die." She expects to have nothing. Then Elijah the prophet, he comes along and he's hungry, and he asks for some water and bread in a very nice way, and she shares her situation, and he says, "That's okay, but please make me a small piece of bread." In a generous act of sharing, she does so. From her almost nothing that she has, she gives him a piece. And then God's providence takes care of her. The jar of meal and the jug of oil doesn't go empty until the drought is over, and that was more than a year. Every day she had food. The jar just seemed to refill itself. She had the ability to feed she, her son, and Elijah. It's a very clear message, a kind of a reminder. When everyone gives, everyone receives. It may seem kind of foolish, but there are countless examples of people that do this all the time. In our own neighborhood, we've got Casa Juan Diego, we have Magnificat House, we have the Christian Community Center, and there are many other examples right here in Houston about organizations that find a way to go the extra mile, collect and give away everything they collect for others. They don't keep it for themselves. It's not money or property or professional status that really matter. These can disappear. Think, the richest man in the world could climb into his car and get hit by a bus. Done. We tend to forget that every day we have here could be our very last day on earth. And how would you like to be remembered? As having cared for someone else, or just put some more money in your pocket? The story in Mark, it gives us a bridge between Jesus and the Passion narratives. That widow who gave everything she had to God is a symbol of Jesus, who gave everything he had for us. Jesus is calling us to identify with that widow, that apparent nobody, as we struggle to deal with the world we live in. Our hearts tell us that poor widow had a greatness which these others totally lacked. What matters is not what we have or what we can get, not what people think of us. What really matters is that we trust in our God, the grace of God, and that we be ourselves before God and with each other. And this morning, we're going to introduce to you individuals who are seeking to become a member of our community, to become one of us, to share in our Catholic faith. Over the next few months, please take the time to introduce yourselves. Make them feel welcome. Make them feel a part of our community. And let them know that we care about them.
Please like, subscribe, and comment below. God bless you.